SchuZ Views, episode 11, will get you up to date on so many things in this past week. First of all, though, special guest Corey Boswell of Team Strive for Greatness, LeBron James AAU team, joins the show to hit up so many topics that you're not going to want to miss. Also, you're not going to want to miss to see what I have to say about the Boston Celtics and this nasty, horrible Kyrie Irving situation, along with the LA Lakers, a coaching recap, a playoff recap, and, of course, you know what it is. SchuZ Zone. You're not going to want to miss what I have to say about a whole lot of topics that the media did not hit up enough over the past week. Stay tuned. This week's going to be a great episode. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to SchuZ Views, episode 11. And trust me, I couldn't be happy to have you guys here with me today. But I hope that everyone had a great Mother's Day weekend, and I hope you guys all showed love and respect to your mom, because they are the reasons you are who you are. They're the reasons our world is what they are, and I couldn't be more thankful to my mom and all the other great moms out there. But I do have the greatest mom ever, and that's not even a question, so do not challenge that one. But without further ado, I am your host, Zach SchuZ Schumaker, and I'm here in Gilbert, Arizona, ready to provide you guys with new views of the NBA. Later on this episode, a member of LeBron James AAU Team Strive for Greatness, Coach Corey Boswell, joins the show to talk about Team Strive for Greatness, his past players, the NBA, and so much more. But I'm just going to say and let you guys know something right now. This past week has been a lot of things that has truly made me heated and put me on edge. And I need to get them off my chest as soon as possible. So let me just know, today is going to be a show that you're not going to want to miss, and you are going to want to get ready. So, let's get started. So today's episode, I'm just going to talk about a few things that just truly upset me. There's a lot of things this past week, to be honest, that's either changed my opinion about a player, a team, or a person in the media. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is a team, the Boston Celtics. My goodness. My goodness. I mean, are you kidding me? What did I just watch? What was this? Yes, they ran over the Indiana Pacers, but they didn't have Oladipo. They came against Milwaukee, won the first game. We know what Pierce said is over. And what the heck did I watch? You know what I watched? I watched something in Kyrie Irving that's not meant to be a leader of a team. I think he made that quite clear. He complained enough about the season. Enough of it. He complained so much about being with LeBron and all that. No, he's going to end up going back to LA, in my opinion. And I hope he does. Or New York. But he's not going to be wherever he ends up going, he will not be the best player on that roster, because he knows he cannot be. He's the guy, yes, he's in the border. You don't know if he's necessarily a superstar where he can lead a team, or he's the guy that needs to be a second best player on a team. But I know. He needs to be the second best player on an NBA roster if he ever wants to compete again. What I just saw was abysmal. It was absolutely unexcusable. What were we watching? 25 of 83? 30% shooting? And then he follows it up with saying, I should have shot 30 shots a game. Really? I don't think so. No. You really shouldn't have. I don't even know, maybe, but I don't even want to know what could have happened in that case scenario. I mean, are you kidding me? Wow. I don't know what happened there, folks. My opinion on Kyrie Irving changed a lot this past season. Same thing with Anthony Davis. What was that? I don't understand it. How? Speaking of Anthony Davis and the leadership thing, Kyrie's out of Boston. He's not staying in Boston. There's no way in this world he's staying. As Jalen Rose said, his teammates will help pack his bags. I don't blame him. It's exactly word for word correct. He is not staying in Boston. But theoretically, let's say now, they're still considering, where will Anthony Davis go? I thought he was going to Boston because I thought Kyrie's staying. So I don't even know what's going on with Anthony Davis. There's rumors he might stay. They're still saying that. I don't know. But if they trade everything just for Anthony Davis, he's leaving after that. I mean, it's going to be a bad scenario. But you're trying to team up Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis theoretically. It's not going to happen. In Boston, it might happen in LA. But are you kidding me? I won't want to team with Kyrie and Anthony Davis on my team unless it's with LeBron. And I don't even know if that's the case, because LeBron is getting slower and declining. Because these are two guys that are super talented, some of the top 10 players in the NBA that have lost my respect. You might ask, how does this player in this top... No, how do they lose your respect, Shu? Well, let me tell you something. I prioritize winning. Talent's great and all. But when the end of the day comes, you play and you live whatever you're doing to win games, to be successful at whatever you do. I don't care what workforce you're in. If you're a teacher, you do it to make sure your kids get grades and they get educated. If you work in a business, you get done a project. If you do any other sport, anything, it's to win and be successful in whatever you do. So putting up big numbers, but your rest of your team is not good, is pathetic. I love me some Anthony Davis, and he has the potential to be the best player in the NBA. I said that. I thought he was challenging LeBron James to be the best player prior to the season. I had him at number 1, 2, and 3. But he dropped. You had a team of Drew Holiday, which is a very good point guard. I'm tired of people disrespecting him. Him, Dragic, some of these guys are very underrated. But Drew Holiday is probably the best defensive guard in the entire NBA, and he does not get respect. Julius Randle played on an exceptional high level. Mirotic was killing it in the beginning of the season. Elfrid Payton was putting up multiple triple-doubles. And you still couldn't win games. You couldn't make it to the playoffs that often. Are you kidding me? If you're so-called one of the best players, you should be in the playoffs, which is why I dropped LeBron James. But barely ever making the playoffs, if you're that good, your belt should be in the playoffs, dominating. Damian Lillard does it. No disrespect to Damian Lillard, but we all know he is not 7 foot, exceptionally athletic, and we know the stuff that Anthony Davis, length, all that. But Damian Lillard gets his team into the playoffs. And that shows, there's two things. Either Damian Lillard is truly that much better than Anthony Davis, or Davis just doesn't care. Because I'm just saying, CJ and Drew Holiday, we can even them out. Randall and Nurkic, we can even them out. The rest of the team's pretty much even. It's ridiculous, folks. Absolutely ridiculous. Don't put those guys on the same team. But let me tell you something about Boston. Some positive stuff. Marcus Morris is their most crucial and the only player that was consistent for the team. Marcus Morris was the energy plug, and he's a player that deserves a nice contract this summer. I don't know if it's going to be at Boston, but whoever gets him needs him. He's a player you can put on a championship roster, and he's a championship caliber player, a person that Phoenix Suns should have kept. Same as his twin brother Markieff, which is why Oklahoma should have played him. That's another discussion I've already talked about. But Marcus Morris, he is key, and he's a free agent this summer, but he was so key. He's the most consistent player by far for Boston. Did great almost every single game in that Milwaukee series, in the Indiana series. He could do whatever he wanted. He's going to be perfect for a championship team if you want to put him on. Someone like Brooklyn would be perfect, and I've said that before. But let me say also something. Gordon Hayward, I think he can be traded this summer. I like someone like Cleveland. Throwing a pick, I think Cleveland might just do it. I think that's the best potential to see Hayward get back to where he is because we know it's hard to come back from the injury. I don't know if he will. But when Hayward and Rozier, don't get me started on him. That's why you don't overhype someone off during a couple months, media. Thank you very much. But when Hayward and Rozier play great, I saw the stats now. They are about 30 and under 10 losses every time they do it. Maybe 11 losses. They are exceptional when they score over 10 points. The only problem is that neither one of them really ever score above 10 points. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Jason Tatum, wait 4 years, folks. You're going to hear in a little bit about what Corey Boswell and I talked about this, but everyone was saying Tatum is the next superstar, the next insane legend, we know what the topics were after a rookie year. And I kept saying, he's a great player, but hold down. Slow down. I mean, whoa, slow down. I had everyone going, bragging, loving on Tatum. Stop. I said, wait, I want 4 years. Even with Donovan Mitchell, I wanted 4 years. Donovan, very rarely will I do it before 3. But Mitchell's proven he's got a team to the playoffs 2 straight years, putting up exceptional all-star level numbers. I know he's the real deal. But wait 4 years, because Tatum, y'all still think he's the next first-team All-NBA kind of player? Maybe. He's going to be a great player, but he's not that. And let me also say something. I unleashed myself. I feel a lot better about the Russell Westbrook issue from last week. But you know what? It kind of got me re-aggravated again. I mean, my goodness, really? Kyrie Irving, as I just explained, he was abysmal. Absolutely pathetic this series. I don't see as much slamming. There's slamming, but there's not to the extent of Russell Westbrook. But what is the difference? Can someone explain to me? What's the difference? Westbrook got triple doubles. That's better, I think, right? Or that really doesn't matter? I think Kyrie Irving should be slammed into the ground for this series. People can say, well, he just doesn't want to be here. That's a negative thing. Are you kidding me? That's going to be an excuse we're just going to give players now? Oh, they don't want to be here, so they don't have to play hard. They don't have to play the best? That's ridiculous. You're in Boston, and you're in the playoffs. And you're getting paid millions and millions of dollars. Go out there and play the game of basketball. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. We're just going to give excuses to certain guys but not others. Grow up, media. Come on now, realize this. Last thing I need to get into about this Boston team. 629 days ago now, there's a trade that went down that a lot of people said Boston clearly won. It was the Kyrie Irving trade, folks. Boston got Kyrie Irving. But you know what? Cleveland won the trade. You guys hearing me right now? Cleveland won it. Crazy thing, it wasn't that Isaiah Thomas came out and destroyed. No, he was actually traded on the trade deadline. Crowder, same thing. Two guys that are the most important pieces in that trade moved. But they still won it because Kyrie Irving, did they win a championship? No. Not at all. He's actually leaving. But you know who's staying? Colin Sexton that they get a build around in Cleveland. Oh, and by the way, in terms of that Isaiah Thomas and those trades they did on the deadline, they were able to pull in Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance, and they've now got multiple draft picks as well. And they also got Ante Zizic, which played pretty nice in times throughout the year. So yeah, you know who won this trade? The Cleveland Cavaliers came around with that trade. Kobe Altman had a great trade once again. Great. That is what happened now. I think some of these things we're starting to notice. Danny Ainge might not be the GM we all thought he was. Maybe not. He's a great GM. Don't get me wrong. He's an amazing, great GM. But media needs to careful. Slow down now. Stop hyping up people before you truly see the whole picture and the whole story. That's been relevant way too many times now. Coming up next, a member of LeBron James AAU Team Strive for Greatness, Corey Boswell, comes on to SchuZ Views to hit up a ton of topics pertaining to his new job with the AAU team, his college basketball career, NBA talk, his former players, and so much more that you're not going to want to miss. Coming up right after this. It's a great pleasure to welcome Corey Boswell to the 11th episode of SchuZ Views. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just preparing for the weekend. Can't complain.
For sure. So let's talk about this first thing then. So recently you've now got with Team Strive for Greatness in the EYBL. How's that been?
Great experience. Great group of guys. Great staff. Coach Joe has been more than generous to our situation. So definitely looking forward to seeing how we compete this weekend and how things go forward.
For sure. So what would be like one of your favorite, when you first got the offer and want to go over there, what would you say were your first thoughts when you first got it?
Just a mystery as to what it can be. I know how well the team is been constructed, but the additions we've just added, along with obviously the great staff they have on there, and obviously their great support system, just seems like it's a juggernaut to be reckoned with.
For sure. So how did you first get involved with the AAU and the Nike world?
Kind of just sort of fell into it. My little brother playing with the family for years, and I came home from college one year and was asked to help coach their 8th grade AAU national team. So I said, why not? Let's see what it looks like. And I mean, family's a great program. I appreciate Coach Speedy for even letting me on that bench to get started, but that sparked everything. And from there, I was pretty much hooked. So I've been a part of that for, going on 11 years-ish.
So would you say it's always been something you wanted to be involved with, or was it something else?
It's kind of something I fell into. Like I was obviously playing college basketball at the time, but to come home and do AAU travel and circuit was never really the plan. But I mean, it's something I fell into, and it happened to be a great fit.
So would you say your entire life were you kind of wanting to be someone in the basketball world in terms of a player, or do you kind of want to be something like what you are now, or something else like that in the basketball world outside of the playing?
I mean, I think every kid when they start playing, they want to be a basketball player. I
no
think
doubt.
my aspirations evolved as I got older, and my knees decided to be older as well. So I definitely looked at other avenues, and have been blessed with great opportunities to touch different avenues of the game.
For sure. So the next part is what age did you first start playing basketball and getting involved?
The first time I took it seriously, probably ninth grade.
Okay.
I dabbled around with it in 8th grade, and I was all right. And then ninth grade, I kind of skyrocketed
Hmm.
and kind of made a name for myself back home. So that's when it really took off.
Yeah. So, what would you say would be one of your favorite parts about like being involved with? I mean, you're involved with so many different young basketball players' careers and lives early on, and all the way up to many different levels. What would you say would be your favorite part about interacting and help bringing them to another level in a way?
Pretty much seeing their eyes open up when they realize they are that good.
Hmm.
Kids talk and they talk trash, obviously, and they're
Of
young and they're
course,
good
yeah.
and they're the best around. But then when they go to a national level and get pulled to the side, say, "Coach, am I really that good?" And it's like, "Yeah, look what you're doing." So, I mean, that's the fun part for me because most of these kids really don't know how good they are.
What would you say? Is there any examples you can think of on the top of your head of kids that's been like that and had that same story?
Uh, yeah. I remember Josh Jackson first realized, man,
Hmm.
I'm really that good. Even Cassius Winston when he first realized, man, I'm really kind of that good. I mean, they don't really portray it because they're obviously good kids and they're humble, but to
Hmm.
see the
Certainly, yeah.
switch flip, just to know that hey, I'm the guy. That's I think for both of them it happened pretty young. I think ninth, 10th grade. It was like okay, I'm the guy. So
Hmm.
to see that transition over is pretty much pretty impressive to see.
Hmm. So Noah, I believe it was your brother that played with Josh Jackson, right?
Right, right.
So how was it being able to watch those two play together?
Watching those two grow up together has been funny. They both won state championships together on their respective high school teams.
Hmm.
Um, Played together basically their whole grade school life. Pretty much uh, stuck at the hip for the most part.
Hmm.
Had the opportunity to, which was kind of my dream, to coach both of them on the circuit team.
Yeah.
Their last years at AAU, which was really special. Just to see them come a long way and then both getting into their separate lanes. I believe Josh going to the Suns here in Phoenix with us, and my brother doing his grad year at a school to be determined soon. He's on his grad transfer move right now. So
Hmm.
I think both will have great pro careers. Just good to see both of them going after what they started out doing.
Absolutely. So you grew up in Detroit, right?
Correct, correct.
So what would you say? What brought you out to Arizona?
Tired of the snow mainly.
Hmm.
Majority of my family's out here, so definitely the change of scenery. A lot of opportunity out here too. So was influenced by.
Speaking of that, then coming out here, so what would you say? Let's talk a little bit about AZ basketball being on the rise. I mean, there's clearly so much talent starting out. I mean, there's been guys starting to go in the NBA like Marvin, DeAndre, but like guys in high school, middle school, I mean, they're constantly guys on the rise. Who would you say are some of the best rising players out of the next four classes or so in high school right now from Arizona?
From high school. Let's see. This incoming senior class, I kind of have a bias to Andre Harris. He's
Hmm.
obviously one of my guys, but I
Yeah.
think he's a big slept-on piece. Um, 2021, 2020. Dalen Terry obviously is a
Oh yeah.
problem. Um, who else can I go with in 2020? I like Osa from Desert Vista starting to come into his own. My man
Hmm.
Evan Nelson down in Tucson. My man Tay Boothman is a sleeper out in Buckeye.
Oh
The
yeah. Yeah.
21s, obviously Deron Holmes, Ty Washington, who's starting to get a lot of buzz and get some notice, which
Oh
should have
yeah.
been happening, but he's coming into his own. Big underrated guy, Carson Basham, starting to come
Hmm.
into his own. Um, 20, 22s. Um, Looking at Garrison Phelps from St. Mary's, Elijah Saunders from Rancho, Devontae Cobb from Shadow Mountain.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Big sleeper in that group, my man Nate Pickens from Dysart. I'll even go into 23s because I've been watching some of them. True Washington, who's going to be at Chavez, is a big deal. Your brother's making a splash for himself out here. Landon Shoemaker's doing some damage.
Oh yeah.
Um, Malik Rasul's doing some damage. Um, I'm trying to see if there's anybody else I'm missing that I don't get yelled at. It's a lot of young pieces that are coming out here, especially on the prep side that are just starting to take flight. And Arizona basketball is getting a little bit of buzz. A lot of people are just landing here that are really good.
for sure. I mean, also, man, I don't know if you said for sure, but Kyrie Walker too.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
hmm So, I mean, what would you say would be one of the coolest things about seeing all these guys obviously play at a high level in Arizona, making a name for themselves, then going to college? Guys like, I mean, not just, of course, Marvin, but the guys like Brandon Clark that worked their way all the way up to making it to the pros. Marcus Howard will do it next year. I mean, seeing all these guys continue to grow and then also play at a high level in the NBA.
I mean, it's just giving a little bit more shine on the state. People are wondering how all these kids that are potential draft picks and mentioned in the draft and have such high accolades, how are they getting overlooked to begin with?
hmm
So it puts the state under a microscope. I know Michigan State, Texas Tech, Utah, like a lot of schools are visiting here frequently and often just to see the talent that's immersed here.
hmm I mean, that's something that's I don't think a lot of people's really noticed because Arizona hasn't been that big for the longest time now. I mean, seeing now, like you said, it's nonstop. You're seeing every day almost. Kids are getting scholarships, which is finally I mean, we're not yet at the New York, the California, the Florida, the Texas kind of level. But I mean,
Right.
I mean, in 5 to 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised if we are right there with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the development going on here in the state and so many families moving out here, there's a ton of kids moving out here that are, I mean, some that we haven't even seen yet. So
hmm
definitely on the horizon if we can keep the core here and play good basketball.
Oh yeah, I mean that's another thing. I mean, just seeing like I'll say, I mean, I think it was like 5 years ago. I mean, it was a big deal just seeing guys like Mitch and Saban go to the college. I mean, that was like an anomaly. Like no one's really seen someone be at that level in a while. And now it's like every year we have 20, 30, 40 kids going, which is just awesome to see.
Right, right. I mean, it's definitely the talent level and the exposure that a lot of the programs and the high school coaches have done such a great job, and also the local prep schools have done such a great job
No
to make
doubt.
sure their teams are in the right actual events to where people can be seen and get those extra looks.
hmm So, I mean, you've obviously already talked about some of your high school D1 pro players, but like, what would you say would be that what separates different guys from being like a good high school player, the D1 player, to a great D1 player, to the G League overseas, to NBA kind of players?
I mean, work ethic is obviously a big piece of it. If you,
hmm
you you can't really cheat the game. If you don't put in it, you won't get out what you want out of it. And then there's obviously that piece that just can't be taught. Like there's kids that are just straight dogs, and it doesn't matter how good you are. It's just some guys that are just gonna come and take it from
hmm
you. And it's just if you are you prepared to handle that, or are you gonna back down, or are you gonna come with it?
hmm
So I mean, you got to look at kids from all walks of life. You have the guys out here who don't know what it's like to live in the East Coast, when those guys are scratching and clawing just to get out of the East Coast and out of that environment, to where not necessarily, it's not like that all over the country. So
hmm
different areas and obviously upbringing and then competition. Like me personally, I like the training, but there's nothing that's going to get you more ready than playing. Like you
Oh
have to
yeah,
play in an environment to where you can work on the training methods that you've been preparing for, and also having somebody challenge
no doubt.
you. If it doesn't happen, then you're going to be held back. Somebody says you're good, and you meet those guys that have been doing that, and you haven't. All you've been doing is training. Is kind of a recipe for success or disaster in that idea.
No doubt. I mean, and that's something I think that has been a problem with West Coast in terms of players not being ready once they get to college or something, which is why I love seeing the prep schools like Hillcrest and Compass and a lot of other schools that keep rising up because it's like every time, even at practice, they are being pushed because it's the top of the players. It's not just
Right.
one, maybe two. It's a whole bunch of really, really good players that push them at practice nonstop.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the prep side just has a different aspect of it because that's what they do. They basketball all day.
hmm
They go from morning, they have practice. Afternoon, they have practice. So they kind of have that extra edge to where Arizona has an edge too. They have their little basketball classes to where they got, coaches can take advantage of their individual drills with the team, and then they actually have full practice so they get full scale development. So it's
hmm
definitely something different out here.
Yeah, also going back to preps. I mean, they also have kids coming in from all around the country. I mean, you guys got guys in Arizona, of course, majority. But then you got guys coming from East Coast, California. I mean, they're coming from all over to play, especially at Hillcrest.
Almost definitely. I mean, I mean, and they put together the best schedules. I mean, they it's literally you play on a high level AAU team, you're going to prep. It's another high level AAU team.
Yeah.
Although, except for there's no border rules, you can get somebody from anywhere, so you can really have a dream team and clash with everybody throughout the whole year. So definitely it perks in doing it that way as well.
Oh yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about you and all. So what would you say would be your favorite NCAA team?
I'm biased, so being from Detroit, I got guys obviously at Michigan and Michigan State, so I split. When they play each other, I don't really root for anybody. I just sit there and hope the guys I rock with do well. But those are my two teams I go with.
Okay. So would you say who would be your favorite player last season or last NCAA season? Who's some of your favorite guys you like watching?
Oh, my man Cash Money at Michigan State did
Hmm.
his thing this year. Man, he had an amazing year.
Oh yeah.
Um, Best expectations I think we could have. He fell short of that chip. Obviously, my brother, I'm a huge fan of him and what he's doing at Valpo, or what he was doing at Valpo and on the move. He's
Hmm.
had a pretty solid college career. Um, who else am I missing out on? My man David Julius at Michigan did very well this year too. So as a freshman, so those are the guys I kind of stick with my boys that I've actually had a part in and root for those guys.
Hmm. So who would you say would be your favorite NBA team?
I don't, you know what? I know so many other guys there that I really don't have a team.
Okay.
Um, I'm a Pistons fan by default, just because
Hmm.
I'm from there, and that's pretty much what we've lived on. But team per se, none really at
Okay.
this point in time.
So who would you say would be some of your favorite players then?
I'm a big Chris Paul fan, although he's kind of showing his age right now. But I'm a big Chris Paul fan. Um, huge, obviously Josh Jackson, Miles Bridges fan,
Hmm.
Edmund Sumner fan. Um, all of my guys kind of retired, man. Like I'm a big Dame Lillard fan. I
Okay.
enjoy watching that guy go to work.
Oh yeah.
It is absolutely awesome to watch.
Hmm. I mean, Damian, that's something like I've talked about a few times. He's one of those guys that like it's different because it's so hard to like put him up there with the Giannis's and all because he's not a freak of nature in terms of height, length, any of that. But he puts up
Right.
stats that are just as good, if not better, than a lot of these guys. And it truly is. He has the closest thing I think we've seen to the Mamba mentality in terms of I'm going to beat you. I don't care if I'm unathletic. Not saying Kobe wasn't, but he just has that. I'm going to beat you no matter what. If you have every advantage of the world, I'll take you out with my work ethic and staying locked in.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the attitude you gotta have too. Like
Hmm.
I don't want to say it like this, but it's kind of like an inner city attitude. Like he's from Oakland, and he's like, man, my neighborhood raised me rough,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna play that way. Like I'm not gonna back down. I'm gonna find a way. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like whatever you have to do to get out, you're gonna do it.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the players take that with them. So that's definitely a benefit.
Who would you say is going to win the Eastern Conference?
Oh, that Giannis boy. It's hard to bet against him right now, but I think he might do it. I am very intrigued if Toronto can pull off this series.
Hmm.
I would love to see him and Kawhi go at it.
Oh yeah.
That would be awesome because Kawhi ain't everybody else. Kawhi kind of a grown man, so
Hmm.
I think I would love to see that matchup.
Oh yeah. He's another one of those guys like Damian that just. He's even less. He's even to a better extreme of Damian in terms of like he really doesn't show emotion whatsoever, but he just dominates.
Mhm.
Like he had like two or three insane dunks the other night, and he just walks back on the other court.
Well, our coaches will say it all the time, act like you've been there before. So he's like, I'm expecting to do this. So
Hmm.
it's nothing new.
For sure. So who do you say is going to win the West, especially with Kevin Durant's injury?
I'm doubting James right now, man. James disappointed me last night. KD went out, and I'm
Hmm.
looking for James to go nuts. And James, I don't know, man. I was pulling for a Houston Portland final,
Yeah.
um, but at the same time, I love Denver too. Shout out to my man Monte Morris on
Hmm.
the Denver squad. I think if it depends on what's really going on with KD.
Uh
I
huh.
know he's out for the rest of this series. If James goes nuts in Game 6, which I think they will,
Yeah.
I don't know if they have enough steam to beat the Warriors in Oracle.
Hmm.
Um, it's hard to pick against the Warriors, man.
I know.
Hard to pick against the Warriors.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you'd think any other team that loses the best player in the game or one of the best players they're done. But I mean, this team obviously has won multiple championships without him, which is scary.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the way they moved the ball in the last night, it looked like 73-9 all over again. And I'm looking like, oh, they're back to
Hmm.
doing what they do. So they're
Yeah.
moving like that. It's hard to beat.
I mean, I think I'd be shocked if it doesn't go to Game 7. I mean, I'd be shocked if Harden and them don't show up big time. But the odds are, I mean, going to Oracle, I mean, they're gonna have to lay it all out tomorrow night, and we'll see what they do at
Hmm.
Oracle. But I don't think they're gonna get it.
Yeah, I see the Warriors pulling out, and then we'll see tonight with Dame and them, man. They got to come with it, but I wouldn't mind watching the Nuggets and the Warriors in a battle. Jokic has been awesome.
Oh yeah.
Jamal Murray's been awesome. Their whole team has done their part,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's pretty good to see as a collective young group of guys making it this far.
I mean, something that I truly think I don't think that I get enough credit for. I mean, Michael Malone deserves the most I mean, amazing credit for this year. I mean, what he's done with that team, but I mean, seeing that, I mean, this team, Denver team reminds me so much of San Antonio. I mean, we haven't seen a team with this kind of chemistry that this much ball. Like, they don't play modern day basketball. I mean, they do to an extent, but it's so much ball movement, so much. I mean, Jokic can go and score 40 points in any game he wants, but sometimes he goes see him score 13, but they still get a win. I mean, it's because
Right.
everyone can play at an exact level and they've all bought in.
Yeah, and they're a bunch of young guys and they're hungry, man. Like they're looking around in the locker room and there's not really a vet in there. They're
Hmm.
all 20, 24 or younger, and
It's
they're
all
like, well,
Millsap.
why not us?
Hmm.
Yeah, well, Paul's the exception. So, I mean, definitely good to see, and obviously they got IT on the bench for some leadership, but I
Hmm.
mean, it's really good to see.
Oh yeah. I mean, speaking about Monte Morris too. I mean, that's something I've talked about a couple of times. I mean, Monte is someone that's. I mean, honestly, he's become exactly what Denver signed Isaiah Thomas to become. I mean, he was
Hmm.
supposed. I mean, they want Isaiah Thomas to be that guy that can ignite a bench, score a bunch of points off there, and lead the offense. But I mean, Monte Morris is the young guy, obviously long term guy, and he's perfectly filled that role.
Being around that guy since he was young,
Hmm.
he being from Flint, getting out of that city, going to Iowa State and tearing it up. Like his mindset has always be, no one's gonna outwork me. He's always been that type of kid, and I'm so ecstatic for him that he's found his itch in the league and he's found to carve in his spot to where he belongs,
Hmm.
and that's definitely impressive on our end.
Oh yeah, I mean he's definitely gonna be on that Denver team for foreseeable future. So he's that same Fred VanVleet kind of guy. Just he's gonna be in the league for a long time as that really good backup point guard.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
who's gonna be the NBA Finals champion?
The champion. If it's not the Warriors, somebody got to stop Giannis, man.
Hmm.
Like even those guys are moving like a well-oiled machine. Like my man's coming 6'11", full team down the lane, and if you help, somebody's hitting the three, and if you don't help, he dunking and screaming at you.
Hmm.
So it is. Who cares? He don't have a jump shot.
Mm,
He it doesn't matter, and nobody's been able to stop it.
and that's what they. I mean, for him, I mean, at least for him, what I love seeing is during the regular season. He does. I mean, he's even done sometimes in the postseason, at the mid range, but he's even working on his three.
Yeah, and I think Giannis has just worked on his body and molded his body so well that,
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's a walking muscle basically. Where, I mean, Ben could be the same way if he just carved out a little bit more. Like, guys will bounce off of you. Like, I don't see too many guys that bounce off of, like, Al Horford bounces off of Giannis. Like,
Hmm.
Al Horford has pounds on this guy, so it's definitely a unique thing there.
Hmm. I mean, that's what I love about Giannis too. I mean, he's just he works. I mean, he works outworks anyone too. I mean, he's got that same mentality. I mean, he turned down an offer to be in Space Jam because he just wanted to work. When half the NBA or majority of the NBA has been tweeting, texting LeBron about trying to be on it, but he wants to stay in Milwaukee and just work on his game.
I mean, yeah, I mean, my man wants to win, so
Hmm.
I definitely get it. I mean, you come from another country and this is all you dream about. I mean, people don't have this opportunity like that, especially the overseas guys. we harp on them so much. Are they really that good? Can they handle it? And guys like him, Dirk, obviously Luka had an outstanding year this year.
Oh yeah.
Just proving they belong. It's just to knock out the naysayers.
For sure. So talking about this free agency class might just be one of the greatest we've seen in a very long time, if not ever. So let's talk about some of the players and where you think they're going to go. Where do you think KD's going to go?
It's kind of hard with him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it depends on who he's going with.
Mm-hmm.
So I've bounced around a few theories. Like obviously everybody's talking about New York and their viable option. Like I could see like New York getting the number one pick and trading for Anthony Davis
Yeah.
and then signing KD and Kyrie to land there.
Mm-hmm.
Would be a spot. Brooklyn's obviously a viable option, but they got to take care of D'Lo.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi I think is going to end up in LA, not the Lakers but the Clippers.
Clippers. Mm-hmm.
I think I think he's enjoying Toronto. I think I've been in Toronto for a little bit as well. Once you go there, it's an eye-opening experience, especially if you live there for a little bit.
Especially the fan
But
base.
it's that in the city itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he might need a little bit more help, and I think Toronto's done an amazing job with what they've done up there. I wouldn't be surprised if they traded Lowry to get him a better point guard to entice him to stay there. So it's a lot of which ways that could bounce and happen this year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if LA traded LeBron at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. That's what that's
Just
going to
with
talk about
everything
too.
going on with it.
They can't get a coach in there. I mean, LeBron doesn't know who his coach is going to be in the. I mean, it's a mess.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he didn't sign up for this.
Oh no.
And to have Tyrone Lue come in there and give him the job but make him, you're going to pick his assistants is the wildest thing I've heard
Mm-hmm.
in quite some time. So I don't know what's going to go on there, but I mean they have a really good young team. I
Mm-hmm.
think they would have made the run this year, but they all got hurt at the same time, which is unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see what they add and how they do with their draft pick and who they bring in as a coach as well.
Oh yeah. And so let's get more into this. Who would you say Kyrie would be end up going with?
Man, you know what? I see him. He could possibly end up in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I do not turn my nose up at him going out there with LeBron at all whatsoever.
That's
Like
what
I
I was
think
thinking too.
he took this rough beating and now he sees what it's like, and it's kind of the same thing LeBron was kind of itching to, is our young guys have to get ready, and
Mm-hmm.
the same thing Kyrie was just alluding to the whole playoff. He's kind of feeling the sting. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of ways they can go, but I wouldn't be surprised if he went to LA.
I mean, there's a lot of people obviously saying the rumors of him going to Brooklyn and all, but as a Brooklyn fan, just seeing, I don't think that's going to work well with him and D'Lo, and of course, just the fact of he does have chemistry. So I don't know if he's necessarily met. He's one of those guys that's so much on the border as is he a guy you can truly build your franchise around to win a championship, or is he just that superstar second best player? I mean, he's in that very tight border where it's like, which one is he? I think he's best. I think he can make a true super team if he's just second best player, but I don't know if you can be a super team with him, your top guy.
Yeah, he needs to be paired with somebody else because it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be some nights where he's just off, and you need somebody else to help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, as we've seen last night with Houston, like James is just off,
Yep.
and nobody else answered the bell when the game was there for the taking. And obviously, vice versa. KD goes down, Steph goes off. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely good to have a multi-facet scoring attack nowadays NBA.
For sure. So how about Klay Thompson? Where do you think he's going to stay in Golden State?
Absolutely not. I think he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I, I think he's tired of being the third wheel, like he's being
Mm-hmm.
overlooked. I see him possibly hitting LA, just because obviously his dad played for them. Um, it seems kind of fitting, so I could see him going there and taking a little bit of the load off the pressure of the guys down there.
Yeah. I mean, I think another team that's underlooked in terms of them is a team like Milwaukee as well. I mean, they have their whole
Mhm.
team is really open in terms of money. I mean, they could re-sign them, but they have Mirotic, Brogdon, Lopez, and Middleton are all open. I mean, if Middleton explores leaving, Clay could easily slide in and be a way bigger upgrade than Middleton. I mean, Middleton's great, but I think Clay would be a perfect guy. I mean, him and Giannis could be. It would be nice.
Absolutely. A knockdown shooter on top of defender is definitely nice to have. I
Hmm.
don't think they let Middleton go though. They might move some pieces around and reconstruct some contracts, but if they keep all three, that'd be something to see.
Oh yeah. So how about D'Angelo? Think you stay in Brooklyn?
Man, you know what? If they would get slammed if they let him go.
Oh yeah.
He's just done so well for that franchise this year that they still have to give him his little bit of money, or not even a little bit, but they get his money and they still would have room for two more guys. So,
Hmm.
I mean, it doesn't like even if you brought Kyrie down there with him, I mean, why not?
Hmm.
So, I mean, definitely would have to keep him, especially after the year he's had.
Oh yeah. I think unless something crazy comes in terms of a super team occurring where three guys want to come, I would be shocked if they let him go. I mean, the ownership's going to pay too. They've already talked about. I mean, they have one of the richest ownership groups in sports history. I mean, that would be.
Mm.
I'd be shocked if they let him go.
I mean, I think he proved his worth this year.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even when he got drafted, all of us in my circle were saying he needs 4 years, and this is year four.
Hmm.
So he's turned it on in a big deal.
Yeah, I mean that's something I know I talk about with people a lot. I think for all young players, especially the guys that are considered will they be superstars, will they not? I say I need them at least 3 years, but 4 years is the most ideal because it depends. I mean, there's some guys that have phenom rookie or sophomore seasons, Tyreek Evans and so on, and they all of a sudden go off and people want to say they're the next superstar, the next legend, they're the next future of the NBA. But then you see them obviously turn out later. But then there's also guys like D'Angelo and many other guys, Levine, a lot of these guys that show up, they just gradually get better and better, then they just hit an insane boost.
Absolutely, absolutely. All young guys need their time. Like, um, not everybody runs out of the gate. Like, you obviously have your exceptions. With obviously, I think Marvin had a phenomenal year this year, coming doing what he did.
Hmm.
But obviously Luca and Trey, they all had great years, and then there's going to be those exceptions to like who can I give an example though? I think it's going to be really good with something like Miles. I think Miles in
Oh
Charlotte's going
yeah.
to be awesome
Hmm.
in 2 or 3 years.
Oh yeah. I
Some
mean,
people just need their time.
for sure. So then let's say a couple more guys then about free agency. So Tobias and Jimmy Butler, are they both going to stay? Are they leaving or one or the other?
Uh, I I it's hard to say with them
Hmm.
because obviously Jimmy has the player option.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, you just don't know with Jimmy because Jimmy's Jimmy. Right? Jimmy's personality is.
Yeah.
I think Tobias will stay. I mean, they have a good young core, and he's a really good piece to their nucleus. I
Hmm.
mean, Jimmy could. It really honestly just depends on what he's feeling at the time. Really good roster in place where they can be good for a long time.
No
Obviously,
doubt.
depending on Embiid's health.
Hmm. I mean, that's something too. I mean, with Embiid, I mean, he's finally got over, I think, the injury bug in terms of like his knees, his back, and all that. But now, I mean, this is just, and he keeps having, last year was obviously the eye thing, which cost him a few games. And now
Right.
it's the illnesses. I mean, he just can't catch a break around this time of the year.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my man, but he gotta get it figured out. He gotta get himself ready and healthy.
Hmm. But I mean, going back to also Jimmy and Tobias, I mean, I think if they had to choose between one of the other, I mean, you also got to think Ben Simmons is going to get his max deal this summer, too.
Hmm.
Because he can get extended and all. But I mean, you gotta think. I mean, between them, if they have to pick one or the other prior to the playoffs, I would have said Tobias in a heartbeat, just because of the fact that Jimmy wasn't playing at a high level. Tobias was. I mean, you go into the playoffs, and Jimmy's been the go-to guy for a lot of his games, especially while Embiid's been sick or hurt.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jimmy's been playoff tested. He's playing with the Bulls and Thibs for what his first 3 or 4 years when he turned into the guy. So he's
Hmm.
been there before. Like Tobias hasn't really been into a deep playoff run yet. So
Hmm.
it's kind of showing. So I mean, obviously the veteran and Jimmy has a different mindset. Like he's a super alpha. Like we all saw what he did in the Minnesota practice. Like he went on a rampage to prove his point. Like some
Hmm.
guys are just wired different.
For sure. So the last guy, obviously, is Kemba Walker, which, in my opinion,
Oh,
is one of the most underrated point guards in the NBA by far. just because he's in a
undervalued.
team. But where do you think
Hmm
he's staying in Charlotte or?
I think he leaves. Um,
Mm,
I think he leaves just because he's been there forever and nothing has really been built around him. Now they do have some really young, good pieces in Malik Monk, and they got
and
Miles,
Bridges,
obviously. Yep, and they got Dwayne
Devontae.
Bacon down there. Yep, and
Uh,
Devontae Graham. But at the same time, he's getting older. So
hmm
I don't know if him moving to another situation that would benefit him would be better. Like I think he would be the piece that ends up in Toronto instead of allowing
hmm
to try and
Yeah.
entice Kawhi to stay. So
hmm
that's just another big shot making player that can do what he does.
No doubt. I mean, also going back, I mean, Kemba Walker. I mean, it just would be. I mean, I think that Mitch Kupchak is a great general manager. I'm excited to see what he does with him. It's just hard because his first year was obviously his first summer, but the past general managing and the front office crew signed, I mean, atrocious contracts with Batum long term. They got Biombo long term. They have Marvin Williams long term, Lamb's long term. I mean, they have all these contracts that are insanely max big time money that he can't even do anything to help Kemba.
Right, right. And they got to figure out those contracts and obviously get them situated. But,
hmm
I think Mitch will do a good job. He did a heck of a job with the Lakers. The
Oh
Soul
yeah.
steal was the steal of the year. So
hmm
see how that goes, and hopefully he gets something done here.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would just hate to see Kemba not in a Charlotte jersey. He's just one of those guys that, like, you could see playing for a team his entire career. Same thing with Damian Lillard. I mean, and it just would be horrible to see him go, but also you want to see him do the best.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but even Dame's like, I'm not leaving. He's made that perfectly clear. They
Oh
they,
yeah.
they recruit like champs up there. So
hmm So then the last question we can talk about then as well. I always like to wrap up with: how would you say God has helped you the most throughout your basketball career in your life?
just the opportunities I've been placed in. Being where I'm from, coming from the environment I've been through. Um, just when you think things are at an all time low, another door opens. That's been evident quite a few times this year in my direction. So
hmm
I'm forever thankful. I definitely there's been a few situations where I might not be here right now, but
hmm
definitely came out on the other side and always appreciative and blessed in that matter.
No doubt. So it's truly been a great time talking to you, Corey, and I know God definitely got some big time things in stake for you for a very long time in terms of your team with Team LeBron and so on. But I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what He's got in store for you.
Yeah, I don't know if I can drop an exclusive on your podcast. I might. I'm debating on it, but you're gonna see me at a prep school here this coming year, so
Okay.
I'll be on the sideline somewhere.
All right. Sounds good. Let's let me
I'll
know.
leave it at that. Got you
All right.
covered. All right.
Best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Boston's not the only big market I'm going to rip into today. The LA Lakers continued to make a joke of themselves. If I were you, I'd stay tuned because, boy, do I have some things to get off my chest about these LA Lakers from this past week. Wow. Stay tuned. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss what I have to say. Wow. I know this almost every week now. I do talk about the Lakers, but they can't stay out of the media. And this has just become hysterical and comical. I mean, I thought the Knicks were in disarray. This might just be worse than the New York Knicks, and we know what James Dolan and that company has to do. It's bad in LA. Yeah, guess what? They got the head coach now, Frank Vogel. That's cool. But before I get into this hiring, which I'm not a fan of one bit whatsoever, let me break down this week. So we start off with the great thing of, oh, we know Monty Williams. Suns just took him from them. He decided to turn on them. That was priority number one. They were zeroing in on him, according to Woj. Oh, guess what? Out of him, now they're zeroing in on Tyronn Lue. LeBron got his man in there. Already signed the deal, right? We all were figuring, it's Tyronn Lue's team. We saw the birthday cake to the Lakers. Happy birthday, coach. Yeah, yeah. Tyronn Lue's getting that deal done. Everyone knows he's locked in. And how did the Lakers screw this one up? Which, once again, I was not a fan of Tyronn Lue becoming the head coach anyways, but he's better than Frank Vogel. But how did they screw this up? Well, let me tell you something. They decided to do something I don't think anyone's ever heard of. They wanted to pick his staff for him. They wanted Kurt Rambis on the staff. What? They're not picking his staff. The coach gets to pick his staff and who he's going to work with. You're going to put a guy on his staff? Absolutely ridiculous. So no, I don't blame him. Tyronn Lue says, no, this is a done deal. Prior to that, we were hearing different rumors. Frank Vogel was probably going to be his lead assistant coach. LeBron wanted Tom Thibodeau. Thibodeau quickly shut that one down. So right after that, we hear the new thing, right? Lakers plan to interview Mike Woodson, Frank Vogel, Lionel Hollins, and JB Bickerstaff. You have to be kidding me. I saw that thing, and I thought it was a joke. I mean, are you Mike Woodson? Speaking of the New York Knicks disaster, you're going to bring in him? He failed in the big market. How did Lionel Hollins do? All I remember him in Brooklyn was doing sarcastic things after he got fired after only a year or so. He was abysmal, and you're going to bring him into the big market? I wonder how that's going to go. JB Bickerstaff? He's been fired everywhere. We're really going to consider him at a big market team? Then we get to Frank Vogel. Great with Indiana, Paul George. He's got potential there, maybe. But we saw when he got fired, he failed because he wasn't doing what was needed in Indiana. So Nate McMillan took over and was a way better coach than him. He went to Orlando and, well, wow, yeah. We don't need to go down that path. That was atrocious. What the heck was he thinking out there? That was horrible coaching. The next year, Steve Clifford comes in and makes the playoffs. So yeah, let's go bring in him now as your new head coach. But before I get into that anymore, what do we have that comes out? A protest in LA. Media shows up. There's more media members than the fans that are protesting. The media had to make it so big, it's showing a Clippers fan and a Suns fan. There's one of each. It was the biggest waste of time I've ever seen in my life. If you guys saw my tweet, if you ever thought that you're wasting time in life, watch that. What was that? Are you kidding me? There was like 20 people at max just standing outside. First of all, they weren't going to listen to a protest anyways, but that's the thing you guys brought in? Oh my goodness. Hollywood wants LeBron to be traded. Yeah, multiple people thought the Hollywood and LA area wants LeBron James in fact moved. Stephen A. confirms this and goes out and says LeBron James might just propose a trade, or demand a trade in fact, if he doesn't get to pick his coaches. I don't know if he picked Vogel, but I would hope he did it. I hope he did not. Anyways, we know where I think he should go. He wants to stay in LA because he's doing a phenomenal job with the Mile Run, being the producer that he's the producer of so many shows, The Shop, all these amazing things. He's going to become the first billion-dollar athlete, but let's keep him in LA. The Clippers is where he should be, coached by Doc Rivers. How many times do I have to say this? Get a high-profile coach, Doc, Pop, Coach Spo again. That's what we need. Bring him to LA. I don't know what the trade would be. We could figure that stuff out. That's where I could see a star player. That's where I could see Kawhi and him joining. Not the Lakers. No one's going to the Lakers. You get Frank Vogel. He's not attracting nobody. You guys failed on how many? 2 for sure coaching attempts. Failed. It's ridiculous. But let me tell you something crazy now. Here's my theory. Here's what's coming. Jason Kidd's is lead assistant for Frank Vogel. My opinion, Jason Kidd's a better head coach than Frank Vogel. Yeah, I said that. And LeBron's going to respect him more. Way more. You know what's going to happen? I guarantee you. It's Cleveland all over again, folks. Vogel is going to be a 1-year bridge. He's going to be the head coach for a little bit. For this 1 year. I guess he's going to take over. Kid's going to step in and become the new head coach, just like Tyronn Lue did in Cleveland. I guarantee you. I promise. It's going to happen. Watch it. Vogel and LeBron is not going to go well. Frank Vogel will be leading the Staples Center. Oh my goodness. Wow, LA. You don't fail to disappoint. Way to keep the media involved. Way to keep everyone intrigued. And it's unbelievable. Ridiculous nonsense we've been watching. I mean, this is absolutely just ridiculous. There's a lot I keep having to get off my chest, folks, because this week has been ridiculous. And Boston and Lakers, the biggest markets, had to feed into this. I mean, my goodness. Sheesh. Wow. Coaching, hiring, and moves just keep going down across the league, including some front office changes have occurred for the Utah Jazz. Go check out what I have to say and my opinions on what's going on and the coaching searches that have been breaking down so far and where they're heading. Stay tuned, you're not going to miss what I have to say. All right, everyone. So now I gotta hit up the coaching recap, front office changes this past week. Let's start off. Of course, I've already talked about the LA Lakers hiring Frank Vogel, which I do not believe is gonna last for too much longer, as I truly do believe that Jason Kidd will take over in a matter of a year. Frank Vogel is just a scapegoat. Now, Cleveland, they've continued to find their searches as they've now interviewed Steve Hetzel of Magic, and they're not close to hiring a prospect at a coach anytime soon as they're continuing to interview. They've not narrowed it down, so I'll keep up to date with that for you guys, but it's not progressing too much. Memphis has also now interviewed the second coach, being Jaron Collins from Golden State Warriors, and Alex Jensen, the Utah Jazz assistant coach, is the only other coach that has been interviewed for the Memphis Grizzlies. They're still a long way from that decision. Minnesota, so they officially make the decision on the head coach in 4 to 7 days. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there because, as I said, they really must go retain Ryan Saunders. It's the best thing if they ever want to get the true potential out of Cat and Wiggins in that duo, along with the young core and all that. But we'll see what happens. Now, Utah, they've also promoted former general manager Lindsey to become the executive vice president of basketball operations. Now, his assistant GM that's been there for 5 years, Justin Zanuck, is now the general manager of the Utah Jazz. I think it was a great move, as Lindsey's truly proven to be a great general manager, building a great team, also clearly drafting the best of the best at whatever level it is to continue to grow. Rudy Gobert in the 27th, Donovan Mitchell obviously falling outside the top 10 to them, finding a great trade like Ricky Rubio, drafting and getting so many great pieces. He's been a great general manager. Now, here's the big alert. There was reports saying that if Philadelphia lost Game 7, there's a little chance that Brett Brown will survive a Game 7 loss. Now, in the next coming hours or days, I truly do plan that he will be fired. Brett Brown will be let go of the Philadelphia 76ers, and they will find a new head coach. Monty Williams would have been perfect, but obviously Phoenix has him. Somehow I have rumors that Tom Thibodeau will become the new head coach, or at least be interviewed. I hope they do not do that. There's no chance of Joel Embiid ever reaching his potential or becoming what Joel Embiid needs to become. If that is the case, and what needs to go down for these Philadelphia 76ers. They must find a head coach, and I don't know who it is because a lot of them being taken, but we will have to see what they have in store. But Brett Brown is not the man, just like Billy Donovan is not either, for the Oklahoma City Thunder. There's only one way to find out, but stay tuned. Hopefully, if I have my midweek episode this week, Brett Brown will be fired by then, and I can start getting into who they should hire. But for right now, that is your coaching recap for this week. Round 2 is now in the books, folks, and the conference championship is coming up next. But who earned my respect and who lost my respect from this last round? There are some big things that you're not going to want to miss, so buckle in and sit down and get ready to see what I have to say about this last round of the playoffs. Check it out, coming up next. My goodness. That was a terrific round of the playoffs, and I cannot wait for the conference finals. But I need to give you a quick recap of what went down. So, with that being said, let's start off with the very first topic. The Philadelphia 76ers with the Toronto Raptors. Wow, what a series. Game 7 went down today. Kawhi Leonard hit one of the most incredible playoff shots you might ever see. The way it bounced 4 times on the rim. Tough contested shot by Joel Embiid. What a series. So here's what I want to say. First of all, some of these games were absolutely embarrassing. JJ Redick disappeared for the majority of the series. Joel Embiid was great if he's healthy, but he struggled. He was not healthy a lot. That being said, obviously I said this, Brett Brown will most likely be fired. But, if it's depending on whatever the coaches is, there's one reason that Philadelphia Sixers will ever become the team they are, and that's all reliant on Ben Simmons. Is he the best player? No. Joel Embiid will always be the main person that faces the team, that faces the franchise, everything. But, as for Ben Simmons, he is the reason they did not win games. I think right now he's overrated. Philadelphia's only as good as Ben Simmons because, listen, you must have a second guy at least. Ben Simmons must get a shot. Is that understood? There's no way around that. Ben Simmons is not as hardworking as some of these other guys. Giannis Antetokounmpo would eat him alive if they would have played. Ate him alive. It would have been atrocious and ridiculous to watch what would happen. Giannis would have taken him and just embarrassed everything out of Ben Simmons. Because, listen, no, Ben Simmons is not as hard working as Giannis. Giannis is already better than Ben Simmons to a whole other world. And Giannis will not be outworked. So the only way you're going to get close to becoming better is if you put your work in at the gym. If you equal to what Giannis does. And I don't think that's possible because Ben Simmons is in love with dating the celebrities, living the celebrity lifestyle. He's trying to live the life LeBron gets to live right now as a youngster. And it is not going to work out well for him in the long term. He must get a jump shot this summer. He is not. Listen to me. Giannis is out there and he's shooting mid-range shots. Giannis is out there. He's shooting three-pointer shots. He's shooting what you have to do, and no one can stop him even when he goes and attacks the rim. So why would Ben Simmons not do it? Ben Simmons is not even close to athletic ability, not even close to the athleticism and the length and the skill of Giannis. And he's not even shooting shots. You need to get your butt in the gym and work if you want to ever reach any kind of level of success and contend for a championship if you're on that team. But my goodness, Toronto Raptors. Wow. Kawhi might just leave, but this is great. This just shows why Ujiri is a prime general manager. He does not let relationships get in the way of business. Business is booming in Toronto, and he made a heck of a move that he got slandered for by firing Dwayne Casey, by trading after DeMar DeRozan. But look at what he found himself. They're going to the conference championship with a chance to go to the finals, obviously. I think Milwaukee will still win because they have Giannis, but there is still a chance to win, is there not? And Toronto's a very good team. Siakam was hurt, and they still came out and won. He was sick, he was ill, whatever's going on there. But my goodness. My opinion on Kawhi Leonard is this. He is this generation, the modern-day Chris Paul. Chris Paul's obviously getting older, but he's the modern-day Chris Paul. He's the guy that is just so hard to rank because he's nothing like anyone else in the NBA. He's not a freak of nature. He's not super tall. He's not super strong. He's not freakishly athletic. But he's so good and so dominant. He's easily a top 5 player, isn't he? I mean, Dejounte Murray said it perfectly. He said, Kawhi Leonard's really good at this whole basketball thing. It's true, is he not? He's exceptionally great. And other guys are starting to contribute. Yes, Danny Green only shot a couple shots today, but Lowry's starting to play big time. Marc Gasol's finding his rhythm and his groove in this game, in this series. And it's going to get interesting. Now, I already discussed this in this episode, but Milwaukee destroyed Boston 4-1 in this series. Boston's embarrassing. Milwaukee. Now, Milwaukee, they're scary good. And Brogdon might stick with his bench role, but they've got something building out that John Horst and the crew out there has built something special in Milwaukee. Hope they can retain them. I suggested the idea of Klay Thompson maybe. Keep an eye on that potential move in the offseason. But only thing I'm going to touch upon this one is what Paul Pierce said. Paul Pierce reportedly said this series is over after the Game 1 loss. And trust me, if Paul Pierce was not a Kansas Jayhawk, I would be ripping him to shreds. But this point's just ridiculous. It was over after Game 1. How'd that turn out? Clearly not great, and Milwaukee let him hear about it. The other thing he said, obviously, was Dwayne Wade, that he's better than Dwayne Wade, and we don't even need to go down that. He has to go look up the video when Jaylen Brown went and broke down the stats of why he's clearly not even close to Dwayne Wade, but that's for a whole other day. Golden State versus Houston, my goodness. Before getting into this, I want to give a quick shout out to it. Rayshawn and Chase, they asked me to talk about this on SchuZ Views. I had to do it. I want to give a shout out to Rayshawn Williams, Chase Grissom, about the Golden State Warriors and Houston Rockets series. Well, I want to say this before we get into it. And there's a lot of talk about, well, Golden State's got so many superstars. Losing Kevin Durant just equaling out. Not really. Because when you look at it, I don't care. Yes, Chris Paul is not the level of Curry or some of them, nor is Capella. But they're being paid the same amount of money as Golden State players are. They're both at the same amount. Golden State's a little bit over, but not by much. So yes, of course they're supposed to win, but losing 4-2 in the series and Kevin Durant wasn't playing, Houston actually, if you take away Kevin Durant's money, Houston is paying a higher contract rate than what they did, including the fact that Boogie's out as well. Theoretically, on paper, Houston should be able to destroy Golden State financially, the way they're spending their money. So no, I think it's even. Now about Golden State, Boogie will be back by the conference finals, and KD will continue to recover. He's being evaluated, I believe, Wednesday, a week from the injury. And Curry and Klay have a big time. Curry and Klay were struggling. And apparently, originally, I was going to tell you guys this: if that last game didn't occur, that Curry is the reason the Golden State Warriors are not winning the games. He clearly stepped up big time. 33 in the second half of that Game 6 win. As he said, it was probably his best half performance he's ever had. As for the bench, it is back, folks. Strength in numbers for the Golden State Warriors, and it was special to watch. If or if not KD returns, but they have that bench, Golden State will win the championship, folks. It's going to be a great series against the Portland Trail Blazers, but I'll get into that in a minute. As for KD, before that injury, he was going to be the first player to average 35 points and have a 50, 40, and 90 shooting thing. Of course, he lost that due to the injury, But oh well. Houston, though, their owner has reportedly said he promises that he will go over the cap limit if necessary and pay the luxury tax, and he promises to upgrade the roster. We'll see what happens. But there's a question. Everyone makes fun and slams John Wall's contract, and it's horrendous. The Supermax just kicks in. But so does Chris Paul's. So, of course, right now I'm going to say Chris Paul is a better contract because at least he's playing and able to play. But he's still out of a ton, but they're both going to financially hurt the team long term. Chris Paul definitely got the best hand, and John Wall of that contract. It is not looking good because Chris Paul is not a Supermax player. And it's definitely going to hold back Houston from ever reaching the point that they ever wanted because their window is now closed. It's closed unless they trade off something and be able to get superstars. We'll see. As for Capella, he completely disappeared. I don't know what kind of performance that was, but that was horrendous. I don't know how they just eliminated him, but you allowed not even really centers to like shut him out. It was embarrassing. The only guy I stepped was Harden, which has earned my respect. But as I said, Golden State's playing the Portland Trailblazers next, and they went to a Game 7 that was amazing today. As I talked about last episode about the bench role, Will Barton truly has found a bench role. I don't know if he's going to be with the team next year, but he will be a very good bench role no matter where he's at. But Portland, CJ McCollum, he showed why the mid-range is truly still a position, and there's nothing in the game players cannot do at a high level, and he showed that. And Damian once again showed why he's the true superstar, because he let another guy who was hotter than him step up big time when it truly could be Dame time, and that's what I love seeing. That's why this team's going. Aminu we went down and was injured. Rodney Hood as well. Obviously we know Nurkic and what Kanter's playing through. Phenomenal. Terry Stotts has finally got rewarded for what he needs to do, and if they have a chance to, of course, go to the finals, they will not do it, but they have a chance, and that should be a great series watching both Damian Lillard and Steph Curry go head-to-head. Truly phenomenal. But Denver, I just need to say this right now. They proved me wrong. They're a great young team. I've said that. I never disrespected them in any shape or form. And I showed love to Michael Malone, showed love to Jokic and Jamal Murray. But I thought they're not making it past the first round. I thought they were going to be annihilated by Portland. But they went to the Game 7. This team is special, everyone. Show the respect. They've earned my respect 110%. I've been a found supporter of them for the last few years. But everyone, I'm just going to list these guys, because these guys I have mad respect and love for. Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Paul Millsap, continue to show the veteran. Torrey Craig, incredible defensively. Of course, CJ went and roasted on Twitter, but still, Torrey Craig went tremendously. Of course, Jokic played at an exceptional level. He might just be one of the best young centers in the NBA. I mean, when I said that, he might just be the best one in front of Embiid. I can't believe I'm saying this, but there might be a chance that Embiid keeps getting his injuries because Jokic is special. I'm in love with watching his game of basketball. Monte Morris, Will Barton, Juancho Hernan-Gomez, Mason Plumlee, Isaiah Thomas, he'll come back. You got Michael Porter Jr. still coming up. I mean, these guys haven't necessarily earned my respect from what they just did, but so on this list. I might be forgetting a couple of you guys, but it was special. I just watched them do. And thank you guys. Michael Malone, you got a heck of a career out there, and they played at a very high level, and I cannot wait to see the way that Denver does, because they've earned my respect 110%. They play with heart, will, and grit. Malik Beasley, that's who it is. One of my favorite guys I always know I talk about. Truly love seeing that. Denver, you have earned my respect, and that's the way to play. I respect the guys that lay it all out on the line for everything. They will be back, and they're going to keep coming strong, folks. That is the playoff recap. And round 2, or the conference championship starts on Tuesday. Get ready. It's going to be a show, folks. You're not going to want to miss it. It's the last part of SchuZ Views. SchuZ Zone is coming up next, and I know you guys all love this one, because I'm going to get into a whole lot of stuff that truly upset me. And I know there's been a lot now, but a couple more things occurred this week that I had to put in a SchuZ Zone to truly make it an interesting one. In my opinion, this might just be the best SchuZ Zone yet, and I think you're going to love it. So stay tuned to see what I have to say. Very first topic of SchuZ Zone, and it's going to be a great one because there's some things, and especially one thing that I really need to hit up. But the first thing I want to talk about is some of the other top rising free agent destinations according to players and the agents. Indiana has now joined the LA Clippers and the Brooklyn Nets as possible places that players prefer to go to. In my opinion, I very well understand that. Yes, Oladipo might not come back, but Miles Turner is a very good young piece, Sabonis, and they have a great head coach, Nate McMillan, and a lot of money available to spend. Aaron Holiday is also a very good piece. That being said, I don't think they're going to get Kevin. Of course, they're not going to get Kevin Durant, probably even Kawhi, but someone along the lines of maybe Clay, or Clay can fit in any team, but somewhere like that would be perfect. Now, here's the thing I need to get into. Max Kellerman. Crazy enough, right? So he said this. He said that Kawhi Leonard is better in the clutch in the playoffs than Kobe Bryant. Now, Kobe, as we know, is a top 10 for sure, Probably top 5, top 3. Some even call him the GOAT. Now, he's known not for just ball handling or something like that. He's known for being a clutch superstar player. So how is Kawhi Leonard in that? Now, no disrespect to Kawhi Leonard. He is a first ballot Hall of Fame player. But let me tell you something. When I first heard this, I thought that this was the most ridiculous, absurd thing that I've ever heard in my entire life by Max Kellerman. But later on throughout the week, I watched Kawhi Leonard play a few more games. I was like, this is still crazy. Then tonight we saw what Kawhi Leonard did in that buzzer beater. And my goodness. I mean, sheesh. Are you kidding me, Kawhi? That was a bad man. If you're going to go into the game, you're going to hit that kind of tough shot over 7-foot Joel Embiid, that's cute. That's huge. Game 7, big time buzzer beater. Now, that still does not mean that he is better than Kobe Bryant, though. Kawhi Leonard has proven that he is a top elite player in this NBA game. But here's the stats. In terms of field goal percentage in the clutch in the playoffs, Kawhi Leonard is 46% as opposed to Kobe's 40. From three-point field goal percentage, Kawhi is 48 to Kobe's 23. Field goal percentage, Kawhi is 26 to 57 to Kobe's 107 to 7. Now, this might have changed a little bit for Kawhi's part because of this last game today. But, point is, he's still not there because Kobe shot so many more. He's been in so many different scenarios. But, first of all, I just want to know, why did First Take even have this question and why was this coming up? Of course, someone's going to lose because they have to debate it. But, my goodness, Kawhi is showing up huge. And it is something beautiful to watch. Now, Max Kellerman decided to come on and make another absurd thing that this time there is no excuse, no debate, and absolutely just ridiculous. He said this. They're talking about Des Bryant, right? And it goes and says, two guys he thinks are the same as Larry Fitzgerald and Vince Carter. And he said that both may be Hall of Fame players. Are you kidding me? Maybe? How brainless are you to say that? Larry Fitzgerald, second all-time in receiving yards. He's third all-time in receptions. Or maybe that's vice versa, but he's top 20 all-time in touchdowns. Are you kidding me? He's maybe going to make the Hall of Fame. Vince Carter, don't get me started on that one. They're both first ballot Hall of Famers locked in right now. But to say maybe, that's the most ridiculous, disrespectful thing I might have ever heard him say. That's absolutely, and just let me say this much. If First Take needs another person, I've got it. And I understand why they had to pay Stephen A. Smith so much money to stay on that show with him. My goodness. Now, another crazy stat that might blow you guys' mind. From the three-pointers. In all of the 1980s decade, there were 23,871 three-pointers made. In just this last season, 2018-19, there were 27,953 threes made. That's 4,082 more threes than in all of the 1980s in this one season. That shows that the game is clearly changing to a whole other thing, but it's an insane level in how important this three-point shot is for everyone. It's crazy. Now, I knew that everyone knew there's injuries regarding Paul George, but I didn't know Russell Westbrook also had injuries. But Paul George, he will be out until preseason training camp begins. He has a rotator cuff surgery he had this past week, and now he also is going to have a left shoulder surgery in about 3 to 4 weeks. As for Russell Westbrook, he'll be out 3 weeks, not very long, because he only had a partial tendon tear in his left finger, and he had a minor right knee procedure. So they'll both be back, but clearly they had issues in. Is there an excuse? Maybe a little bit? Yes, sure. But there's always clean-up surgeries players have after the season. Paul George is clearly more significant. That does not put Billy Donovan off the hook. He should be fired immediately. Now, new news came out today about Kristaps Porzingis. He got another fight while in Latvia. I'm heartbroken by this. This is the second thing now that we've heard about in the last couple of months, and it's ridiculous. I'm a true firm believer that you're innocent until proven guilty. You're innocent until you're proven guilty, right? So yes, sexual assaulting, I didn't blame him yet. If he gets proven guilty, I will unleash on him. And he has no right or business playing the game of basketball at a professional level ever again. Plain and simple. There is no toleration for that in the NBA, and I believe Adam Silver is on the same page as me on that. But my only thing now is that he should not be involved in the police issues this match. We clearly are seeing what's happening now twice in the last couple of months to a superstar player. If you're involved with the police this much, this is not good. And this might just be, I've told you guys before, This new management group in the front office in New York is quite a bit better than they've had recently. I love what they're doing up there. But I think this is a big time win once again. If this is all true, New York might actually win this trade. Because there's big issues going on in Dallas regarding Kristaps Porzingis in his future. As he was beat up while being, he was beat up while at Latvia. He was completely jumped, and his face, if you have seen the video and the pictures, it does not look good. And of course, the Mavericks are investigating, but we'll see what happens. 2 Chainz has also bought a minority ownership stake in Atlanta's G League team, continuing to brew how popular the NBA and the game of basketball as a brand is. Both the NBA and the G League, professional basketball is growing internationally, and soon will be probably the biggest sport in America and the biggest sport globally. And I can promise you that in the next 10 to 20 years, basketball will take over as the number one most dominant sport worldwide and in the United States alone. No one thought that ever happened with baseball. Baseball was locked in about 20, 30 years ago. It was America's sport. Now it's clearly football. There is no reason basketball cannot replace the game of football right now. And internationally, there's no reason it cannot replace soccer. Every continent, besides, of course, Antarctica, is performing and playing the game of basketball with ownership and players coming from all angles and differences across the globe. Trust me, basketball's coming to a whole new level soon as it continues to grow. That's it for SchuZ Zone, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed it, as I just hit up some things that the media did not quite cover enough, but I truly need to address it. Man, I'm truly glad that once again, you guys can all be a part of my week and a part of seeing my view of the NBA. Thank you so much for tuning in today once again, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. But with that being said, this does in fact conclude SchuZ Views episode 11, and I want you guys to know this. There might just be a special release this week regarding the NBA lottery, as it does occur midweek. So, only one way to stay up to date and see if there will be a midweek episode. Go and follow my Instagram or Twitter page at Zach Schumaker, or my YouTube channel at SchuZ Views Zach Schumaker, as long with my Facebook. Like it please at SchuZ Views Zach Schumaker. Also, depending on the platform you may be listening to, don't forget to leave a 5-star, subscribe, like, or whatever it may be to make sure that SchuZ Views continues to grow, as it's greatly appreciated. Another reminder is go check out AZ Athletics and their YouTube channel, Instagram. Go subscribe, go check it out, because I am doing weekly recaps for the 10U League team, and I cannot wait for you guys to go check it out. With that being said, I just once again want to thank all the mothers in the world for all they've done, and I hope they had a great Mother's Day, but not just Mother's Day should they be appreciated. Make sure to appreciate all the moms throughout the entire year. Now, with that being said, folks, I want to say this in my closing. Everyone go be the light. I'm your host, Zach Schumaker, and I'm out. God bless.